So we're reading from 7th canto today, 9th chapter, text number 9 and 10. So this is continuing from what Adil Shilpa was reading last time, 8th verse. So now today is 9th verse. So you can repeat after me. Oh, this is a very difficult one. Let us try. Manye dhanabhijana rupa tapasrutau jasas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tulosha bhagavan gajayuta paya manyedana rupa tapasutau jas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tulosha bhagavan gajayuta paya. One more time. Manyedana vijana rupa tapasruto jas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tulosha bhagavan gajayuta paya. So one of you can recite it. If any of you know better meter, please go ahead also. Manyedana vijana rupa tapasrutau jas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayuta paya. Nice play. Thank you. Anyone else would like to recite?
Manyedana vijana rupa tapasrutau jas
Manyedana vijana rupa tapasrutau jas
prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga
teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga
bhavanti parasya pumso
naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso
tutosha bhagavan gajayuta paya.
bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayuta paya. Okay, start. The word for word meanings. Manye, I consider. Dana, riches. Abhijana, aristocratic family. Rupa, personal beauty. Tapa, austerity. Sruta, knowledge from studying the Vedas. Ojaha, sensory prowess. Tejaha, bodily effulgence. Prabhava, influence. Bala, bodily strength. Paurusha, diligence. Buddhi, intelligence. Yogaha, mystic power. Na, not. Aradhanaya, for satisfying. He, indeed. Bhavanti, are. Parasya, of the transcendent. Pumsaha, supreme personality of Godhead. Bhaktya, simply by devotion service. Tutosha, was satisfied. Bhagavan, the supreme personality of Godhead. Gajayuta Paya, unto the king of elephants, Gajendra. Okay, translation for Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj continued. One may possess wealth, an aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, and mystic yogic power. But I think that even by all these qualifications, one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. Gajendra did this, and thus the Lord was satisfied with him. Purport. No kind of material qualification is the means for satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, only by devotional service can the Lord be known. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Unless the Lord is pleased by the service of a devotee, the Lord does not reveal himself. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. This is the verdict of all Shastras. Neither by speculation nor by material qualifications can one understand or approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow. Okay. So we'll offer brief praise and we'll start. Om Ajnanat Mirandasya Jnanam Chamasalakaya Chakshuramitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharani Nirvisheshwani Paschata Deshtarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So interesting. The context of this verse is Prahlad Maharaj prayed to Lord Narasimha. So thank you, Kavya, for coming. You know who is Prahlad Maharaj? Yeah. What do you know about Prahlad Maharaj? He's always trying to hurt Prahlad Maharaj. Then what happened? Lord Krishna came. Very good. In which form he came? Lord Krishna came as what avatara? Very good. Good. So that is the context basically. And Lord Narasimha came to protect Prahlad Maharaj. Then he killed Hiranyakashipu, like you said, right? So after that, the previous verses of this chapter are telling that how everyone was, Lord Narasimha was very angry, in anger mode against Hiranyakashipu because he just now killed. So now all the different devatas, they're trying to pacify the Lord. Lord Brahma, Lakshmi Devi, Lord Shiva, like that. They're all trying to pacify the Lord. So then at that time, they all felt that we cannot pacify the Lord. We cannot make the Lord calm from anger like that. But because Brahma thought, because Hiranyakashipu, Narasimha came to kill Hiranyakashipu and protect his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. So he came for protecting Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is the right person, right devotee. We can pacify the Narasimha. Then he said, Prahlad Maharaj, please go and pacify. Please pray to him and pacify him like that. So then Prahlad Maharaj goes before the Supreme Lord and he feels very humble. That how can he pacify the Lord when so many demigods, great demigods are not able to pacify him? So he feels in a humble position. First he offers obeisances to the Lord. So that's what we can learn also. When we pray, first we offer obeisances to the Lord and recognize our humble position, first of all. And then we pay obeisances to the Lord. And then it's described in the previous verses. Lord Narasimha touched with his hand on Prahlad's head. So with the touch of the Lord, all the material contaminations went away and he was enlightened with transcendental knowledge, Prahlad Maharaj. So what he is speaking is with full transcendental revelation because Lord Narasimha gave his full mercy to him. That is the importance of this section for us. So whatever he's speaking is very important and very glorious because Krishna empowered him directly like that. So in that mood, he starts with again, not only humility is internal to him, he expresses the humility also in words, in the previous verse, especially the verse that we discussed just now. He says, so many demigods who are generally people in the higher planets are in more in mode of goodness, whereas the earthly planet are considered mode of passion mostly, and below, of course. Some traces of goodness will be there here and there. And then people in the lower planet system, earthly animal kingdom is considered mode of ignorance. So here, he says, they are situated in goodness and they could not pacify you, great demigods. Then how I'm born in a demonic family? Demonic family is considered usually in mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. So how can I pacify you like that, he says first. But I'm not at all qualified. That is his mode. So similarly, whenever we give a service by anyone and get any service, you should not think I'm super qualified to do anything like that. We can have the confidence that by Krishna's mercy, I can become qualified to do any service. That is absolutely okay. But then internally, we should not think that just by my capacity, I can do anything like that. So we should feel that this service is very glorious. For example, Prabhupada preached Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is pure with so much devotion. So when I'm given the same service to preach Krishna consciousness, I need to understand, oh, Prabhupada is so great. So I can just follow and seek his mercy to preach somehow or other. Like that, we need to compare with ourselves with somebody great, great devotees. Then we can remain in a humble position ourselves. That I'm not so qualified like that. But if you compare with somebody who started Bhakti yesterday, then we'll think, oh, I'm great compared to him like that. So for ourselves, we need to compare ourselves with higher devotees. Not in a mood of getting depressed or anything, but as the inspiration example to preach in that example or to do service similar to them like that. For example, we're given a service of deity worship. There are so many devotees who do deity worship already so nicely. So we should take them as inspiration that they're doing. So I can learn from them like that. That's the humble mood we saw in the last verse, basically. Now, he's continuing. Actually, the theme of this section is, how can Lord be pleased? How can Lord be pacified? Only through devotion service. That is the theme. And so that's what he is telling in this verse. We'll read 2 verses most likely. So the 9th verse is saying, two points mainly in the verse. One is, I can have any amount of material qualifications. He listed all the material qualifications you have. Like Queen Kuti says, Janma Ishwarya Suti Srivir, right? Janma means very aristocratic birth, or a high birth in a great family, or rich family, or Brahmana family, doesn't mean anything. Then Aishwarya, that means I might have a lot of wealth. Still, that's not a good qualification to approach the Lord. Suti means very learned. Somebody can be very learned, but still they cannot satisfy the Lord just by that qualification. Then Sri, that means beauty. Somebody may be very, very beautiful, but just by that opulence, they cannot satisfy the Lord. So the point is, just by the material qualification, you cannot satisfy the Lord. So, but with the devotion, combined with any of these or none of these, can satisfy the Lord. That is the essential theme of this verse. So he gives to some of the other material attributes. Somebody may be very wealthy, aristocratic family, we talked about beauty. Somebody may be very austere. Somebody generally, Jnana process, yoga process, they put more emphasis on austerity. Do so much austerity. They do severe austerities, like in the middle of the summer, they sit next to the fire, like that. So in the cold winter, they dip in the water of Ganges like that, stay in the cold place like that. That is a severe austerities. And they think by that they can please you, they can achieve perfection. So by that you cannot please the Lord. That is what he's describing. And then by education, by knowing a lot of things, just by that we cannot please the Lord. Similarly, by having a lot of sensory expertise, I can do a lot of great things with strong strength. Then luster, I'm very beautiful or bright, effulgent. Still, influence. I have so many followers. I can influence so many things. I know some connections in government. I'm doing connections in India like that. If you are another key, Vrinda Sundar ki jai, Uttar Sundar ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Then physical strength is described here, diligence, intelligence, and mystic yogic power also. Somebody may be yogi who are aspiring for great mystic powers, like Ashtasiddhis, like that. But still, they cannot satisfy the Lord just because of their strengths, like that. So that will not satisfy the Lord. Then what is the solution then? If there's a problem, devotees give solution also. He's saying one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotion service. Simply by devotion service. And he gives an example also for us to understand. Gajendra did satisfy the Lord by devotion service. He didn't have any of these things. Intelligence, beauty, austerity, education, aristocratic family. He was an animal, born in animal species, at elephant species also. But still, devotion was, he could perform devotion like that and please the Lord. And the Lord was satisfied and he came to protect him. So that's the point being made here. So now we'll understand few things that Prabhupada is saying in purport. So he's saying no kind of material qualification, the means for satisfying Supreme Lord. Okay. So that means, how do we understand this? We can understand it in two different ways. One is, if I have no material qualification, what happens? If I have too much material qualification, what happens? So this is one way of understanding Shastra by looking at extremes. Usually we are in the middle. We're neither having too much material qualification, nor we don't have any material qualification. We're always in the middle. But Shastra helps us to understand the point by looking at extremes. So let us say I don't have any material qualifications. I don't have intelligence. I don't have any money like that, or any of these things, education, good birth like that. Then we should not be disheartened or think that because I don't have intelligence, I cannot practice bhakti. Because I don't have money, I cannot practice bhakti. Because I don't have this, I cannot practice bhakti. So today morning also we were discussing first canto, second chapter was Gauranga was describing Ayatiki Apratikada. So Savai Dharma, how did it start to? Savai Pumsa Paradharma, Yado Bhakti Radakshada, Ayatiki Apratikada, Ye Atma Suprasidhati. So in that verse also described Ayatiki without any motivation, Apratika uninterrupted. So we cannot, any material disqualification or qualification cannot be an obstacle for bhakti basically. So like that, we should not consider that I cannot understand this well, that's why I cannot be devotee, like that. Or I don't have this, actually, I don't know, many, some devotees go through this. I had this experience myself. So initial phase of bhakti, I was trying to understand what is bhakti. So for me, it was very distant. Bhakti was very distant at the stage. So then I used to think that bhakti is wonderful. I'm understanding bhakti is great. But I'm not able to understand it. I'm not able to practice it properly. That means bhakti is not for me. That's the mode I was in. But with my mentor's help, I also consistently practicing it, now understanding a little bit of bhakti. So that is why we should never think that I'm disqualified for doing bhakti. Irrespective of whether we don't have money, our family situation doesn't cooperate so much, doesn't matter. Still we can do bhakti. Some examples are given is, let us say I'm bedridden. I cannot even do physically anything. I cannot even, for example, some devotees cannot even move their fingers to chant because they have a problem with fingers, for example, like that. Some devotees can even not chant loudly because they're in such position in bed. Even when they're lying flat in the bed, they can still do bhakti. How? Anybody can guess? Yeah. Wonderful. Kavya, very nice. Yeah. Sir, by remembering Krishna. So that is why bhakti is so wonderful. Any material stage, we can do bhakti. That we need to remember always. So that way we should not try to take excuses. I cannot do bhakti because my wife doesn't support, my husband doesn't support, my children don't support, my office doesn't support, my boss is not right, my temple devotees are not nice to me. It doesn't matter. Bhakti you can perform in any circumstance. And some people say, I don't have devotee association, I'm very far away from temple. It doesn't matter. It's definitely disadvantage. But still we can perform bhakti. Right? So that is one point we can take. Now looking at the other extreme, let us say I have too much wealth, too much education, or I have the power to do a lot of austerities. I can do Nijjal Ekadasi every time. All festivals I can do Nijjal Ekadasi, for example. Like that. Whatever strength I have, or I can influence so many people, hundreds and thousands of people. in that stage, that should not become, that is not a qualification to please Bhakti. Just become influential, just because I have more money, that doesn't please Bhakti. That doesn't please Krishna. That's not the only qualification for Krishna. So when we understand that point, then we don't give too much importance to that aspect of us. We might have too much money, but we don't give too much importance of that aspect. Wow, I'm so great like that. We have to compare ourselves. Our ultimate goal is to reach Krishna, to please Krishna. What is supporting that? We need to try to cultivate in our life. So when we have this understanding, then it helps us to be in the right position, in a humble position, even if you have any one of these great material qualifications like that. So we can be not proud, but stay humble because of, even though we have high material qualifications like that. Then that way, only with humility, we know we can chant holy name properly, constantly. Trinadapi sunichana, tarorapi sarishana, amanina manadina, kirtaniya sadagri. That means only when we are humble, then made of glass, tolerant like a tree, and always offering respect to others and not expecting any respect from others. With these principles, we can constantly chant the holy name. What does that mean? If we do not have these qualities, that I cannot chant constantly. Or if you take it furthermore, that means having these qualities is conducive for me to chant regularly, chant more. Otherwise, my chanting will be a struggle if I don't develop these qualities. That's why we cultivate those qualities also. Bhakti is a full package. And in one sense, everything is supporting our chanting to holy name, to please Krishna, to remember Krishna like that. So that's why we develop these qualities also. So that means any amount of material qualifications should not make us proud, but we can still remain humble and then strive to practice bhakti. That's the other point we can take from here. Now, one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. So, one example is given as Gajendra, who always found out without any material qualification also somebody can satisfy Krishna like that. And there are many verses in Bhagavad Gita. I think next verse talks about some of the verses in Bhagavad Gita also. We'll go to that one later on. So basically here Prabhupada is saying, unless the Lord is pleased by the service of a devotee, the Lord doesn't reveal himself. So generally the sequence given in scriptures, many sections, is that we practice principles of bhakti, and then through that we develop the understanding of Krishna. And through that we practice bhakti with more carefully to please Krishna. And that's how we realize Krishna and we experience Krishna. That is the stages described. So here, so in one way, there are two ways to look at it. One is initial stages of bhakti. When I'm a starter of bhakti, I need to know about the process more. I need to know a lot about the process. Knowledge is important. And that knowledge and understanding motivates me to do the practice of bhakti. That is how initially many of us start. But then it doesn't have to be like that. Somebody may not know the knowledge, but somebody may practice bhakti by chanting the holy name, by hearing regularly. So by practicing bhakti also, somebody can go to devotional service. Somebody can go to Krishna together. Somebody can understand Krishna like that. So this is a nice relationship between practice and understanding both. That means by understanding more, it inspires our practice of devotional service. And by practicing devotional service, it inspires our hearing. So both are true statements. So these will help each other to practice bhakti like that. So that's how we need to see. So now here the aspect that is highlighted here is the service of a devotee. That means the aspect is practice is being highlighted here as a devotion. Generally, in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, I'm just saying if the next verse purport talks about that. No, okay. So Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, we hear the verse, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. I don't know the full verse, anybody knows? Janma Karma Cha Divyam?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Mantri, go ahead, Mantri.
Janma karma cha me divyam eva viti tattata tyakta deham punarjanma niti mam iti so Arjuna.
Wonderful, man. Thank you, Mantri. So, by knowing about the birth of Krishna, or appearance of Krishna, and the activities of Krishna, understanding them to be transcendental, one can go beyond this life and one can reach Krishna. That is the essence principle there. That means there the emphasis is on understanding of principles of bhakti, understanding of Krishna, understanding of activities of Krishna, like that. Now, the emphasis here in the purport is about the service of Krishna. So actually the next purport, another Bhagavatam verse is quoted also. We'll go to that 15th chapter verses, 18th chapter verses quoted, I think. Let's see. Yeah, maybe we'll read it. When we read the next verse, we'll see the verses there. Basically, that also, generally, for example, another verse in 10th chapter also. Tesam satchitanam bhajatam pitpurvakam dadami buddhi yogatam. Buddhi. That means by engaging in devotional service, by constantly glorifying me, what comes? Intelligence is given by Krishna. So there the aspect is glorified is practice of bhakti. By practicing bhakti, we get the intelligence to know him, like that. So like that, both are symbiotic for us. Both are helpful for us. So what does it mean for us? Do we start here? Do we start here? It's like chicken and egg situation, they call it, right? Which comes first? Knowledge comes first, practice comes first. So what we do is, whatever our intelligence allows, that much we try to understand about Krishna through hearing, through reading scriptures, like that. Number one, according to our capacity. And then whatever situation allows, whatever capacity, physical capacity, mental capacity allows, through that we serve Krishna also with our body and mind and words. So when we do those two things according to our capacity, and trying to understand Krishna and trying to practice bhakti according to our capacity, then Krishna will give us the mercy, necessary mercy to understand him and to go back to him. That's the essential point here. Now, other negative point Prabhupada talks about here in the purport is Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavitaha. That means, if Krishna says in that sequence of Bhagavata verses that he is the Supreme Lord, but everybody cannot understand him. Why? Because he covers their intelligence. If somebody is not doing bhakti, somebody doesn't want to know Krishna, he covers their intelligence, so that way they cannot see, like that. So that's the point being made here. So the common example Prabhupada talks about is Prime Minister of India. Of course, here President is the topmost. Okay, let's say President of US. So President of US. So just because I did not see President, I cannot say President is not there. So, and just because I'm saying I did not see President, so President is not there. Just because I claim like that, President doesn't have a duty or responsibility to come and show himself before me, right? So he has his own right. And only when I become qualified, for example, I do some great, wonderful act for the country, then I'll get some president award. Then I get the opportunity to sue president, and president will say, very good job. This is the medal for you, like that. But otherwise, president doesn't have any obligation to see me, like that, right? Like that, Lord Krishna is also like that. Just because I'm saying, I don't see Krishna with my eyes, so I cannot believe. You guys are all believing unnecessarily. Just because I'm saying like that, Krishna doesn't have to reveal himself. But if I qualify myself with bhakti, understanding with whatever capacity I have, and do devotion service, then Krishna will give the experience of bhakti, experience of himself to us in different degrees, of course. As you grow in bhakti, the experience will go higher and higher, ultimately to see Krishna face to face also, and experience him personally. Like that, the experience will grow. Obviously, initially experience will be through philosophical understanding, then later on through practical experience, through devotion service, we can experience Krishna. And then later on, personally, we'll see Prayojana, ultimately, like Sambandha, Vidya, Prayojana, right? Like that, we ultimately experience Krishna also. So that's the point being made here. And Prabhupada is concluding the purport with that any amount of material qualification are neither by speculation also. One cannot understand or approach Krishna like that. So that means he's adding the jnana component also. So it appears, so far everything is material qualifications in terms of physical things like that, it appears. Now he's adding the jnana component also. Even I may be great, very great to philosophically speculate, but still Krishna doesn't show me. I cannot approach Krishna. I cannot understand Krishna by my own strength. Now, this is very helpful for practicing devotees also to understand. What I think is sometimes, I was in this mode for a long time in my life also, devotional life also. Even now I'm there, but a little bit reduced. Basically, the mode I was in was, I will figure out bhakti. I will make a project plan for Bhakti. And I will do task number 1, task number 2, task number 3, task number 4. Then Krishna has to show himself. I don't say that to myself directly, but that means I will 100% succeed. I will do task 1, 2, 3, 4, 100 nicely. Then I will get Krishna. That means I'm so confident about my abilities, overconfident about my abilities, and proud about my abilities that I want to figure it out and I want to do it and get Bhakti. So in one sense, it's what is wrong with that? It feels like what is missing is Krishna picture is missing in this. Bhakti is not practiced with our own endeavor. Bhakti is beautiful, simple, and easy because of this Krishna element. Because Krishna is there, we're aspiring to please Krishna. We're aspiring to seek shelter of Krishna. We're requesting Krishna for his help. We're depending on Krishna. That is the Bhakti principle. So when we include that Bhakti element, then we understand, oh, Krishna will give me the necessary qualification. Krishna will give me the necessary understanding. Right now, I'm not able to understand this particular topic. But right now, I understand only this particular topic. So I'll start there. Then Krishna will give me, as my service improves, as I need to do some service, he gives the understanding related to that particular service like that. So like that we understand. Then that way, Krishna factor is included. Then we devotees, we do our best endeavor. But understanding that Krishna gave me the ability. Krishna gave me this intelligence. How? Directly as Paramatma in the heart, or through another devotee, through another family member, through another non-devotee also. He can give our inspiration, our ability, our resources through any number of ways. But Krishna is the ultimate cause of all causes, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, another Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. So it's the cause of all causes. When as a devotee, we try to increase our understanding and realization of that aspect of Krishna is there in every part of our life like that. Whatever help we get from others also, we see it in connection with Krishna. We're grateful for others, but also we're grateful to Krishna at the same time. Our gratefulness should not stop at the other person or other devotee. We should see them in connection with their Guru, in connection with Krishna. Then our bhakti will improve and their bhakti will also improve. Because when we are praising them, appreciating them, we're not appreciating their own qualification up to them. We're appreciating how the devotion bestowed their qualities to them, how Guru bestowed their qualities to them, how their service to Guru bestowed their qualities, how Krishna is giving them mercy in their life like that. So that's another aspect we can learn from this verse. Now going to the next verse, text 10. Viprad Visad Guna Yutad Aravinda Nabha Padaravinda Vimukat Swapacham Varishtam Mani Tadarpita Mano Vachane Hitartha Pranam Punadi Sakulam Natu Bhuri Manaha. Okay, we'll read the translation. If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahmanical qualifications, as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, wealth, and life, activities, wealth, and life, to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana because the devotee can purify his whole family. Whereas the so-called Brahmana, in a position of false prestige, cannot purify even himself. So, what is being described here? There are two people compared here. Did you catch it, Kavya? Did you catch it? Who are the two people compared in this verse? Brahmana is one. Wonderful, very good. Yeah, dog eater. Those are the two people who were mentioned in this verse, right? Comparing. So, scripture teaches us by comparing two things also. That's one of the ways to acquire knowledge. Then we know the difference properly. What does it mean like that? If you just say a statement that only by devotion Lord is pleased, then how do we understand it? That's why example is given with analogy and comparison like this here. So what is being said here? Brahmana is super elevated in terms of he has 12 Brahmanical qualifications. What are those? Those are given in the bottom of the page. 12 qualities of perfect Brahmana, following religious principles. That's the first thing. Hare Krishna. speaking truthfully, controlling the senses by undergoing austerities and penances, being free from jealousy, being intelligent, being tolerant, creating no enemies, performing yajna, giving charity, being steady, being well-versed in Vedic studies, observing vows. So we're discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam scripture. Essentially where we are is Prahlad Maharaj. You heard about Prahlad Maharaj before? No? Okay. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is the devotee of Krishna. It's Satya Yuga. Prahlad Maharaj was born as a son of a demon. His name was Hiranyakashipu. So you heard about Hiranyakashipu? Wow, Hiranyakashipu is more famous. Bhakti Prahlad, wonderful. Yes, Bhakti Prahlad, wonderful. Nice. So he was born as a devotee, and then he was troubling him so many very different ways, right? Then Lord personally comes as, do you remember Narasimha Swami, right? Yes. Lord comes personally as Narasimha Swami, and then he protects his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, by killing Hiranyakashipu. So after killing Hiranyakashipu, he was still angry in that mood of killing Hiranyakashipu. So then what he does, then all the devotees try to pacify him, and then they send Bhakta Prahlad to go before Narasimhadev and offer him prayers. So Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers, saying that, oh my dear Lord, I'm born in a demonic family. I don't have much qualification. Like then he starts with humility first. And then he starts to tell this verse that I might have so much money, so much education. Somebody might have so much education, so much strength, all kinds of material qualifications somebody have, but they cannot satisfy you. They cannot please you with those qualifications. But if somebody has little devotion, they can satisfy you, like that is saying. That was the previous verse we were discussing. And then that the Gajendra pastime also was described as the elephant was in trouble by crocodile catches hold of the elephant's leg, right? You probably heard that. Yeah. A crocodile, elephant goes to drink water in the pond, lake, and then crocodile catches hold of the leg. Then he was not able to release himself with so much fight and all that. But finally, he offers he prays to Supreme Lord because he got that remembrance from the last life. He was a devotee in the last life. So then when he offers prayers, Supreme Lord personally comes and delivers him by killing with chakra, kills the crocodile and he releases the elephant from the mouth of the crocodile, like that. So that is possible, not because the elephant is greatly elevated in terms of money, nothing, but because he offered prayers with devotion. That's the point previous verse we're discussing. Now next verse is describing, Prahlad Maharaj is praying, that when a Brahmana may be so learned, he may be having all great qualities, he's good at austerities, he's good at giving charity, good at all Vedic mantras, he's studying scriptures, but if he doesn't have devotion, Krishna is not pleased. Like that is describing. And then compares with dog eater. Dog eater means somebody is very low in a Vedic culture. Generally, meat eating itself is considered low. That means they're not following proper Varnashram principles. But dog eater is even worse than that, like that. Chandala, we call it. You might have heard that word, right? Chandala is a dog eater, like that. That means normally, even meat eaters, they're meant to eat at least goat, like that. But then dog eater means dog is very in filthy places, like that. It's considered very, very low, like that. So even a dog eater, that means it is not having very much respect in society because it doesn't have any material qualifications, like that, right? But if he has some devotion, little devotion, Supreme Lord Krishna is pleased with him. That is the point being made here. So here, but on the other hand, Brahmana, he can, even if he doesn't have devotion, even great qualifications doesn't matter, like that. That is the point being made here. So now, what is the other thing being described here? A devotee, even though material qualification is not there, if he has devotion for Krishna, he can purify his whole family, being described here. So whereas so-called Brahmana in position of false priestess cannot purify himself. That means he cannot benefit himself also, Brahmana. Whereas a dog eater who has some devotion, he can purify the whole family. This should also inspire us to perform bhakti. Why? Because many of us want to do good for our mothers, our fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, brothers, sisters. The best good we can do is we take up devotion service and we do some devotion. Then Krishna will bless them immensely like that with a lot of mercy. So that's the point we made. Later verses it comes, Narasimhadev reveals that all your previous forefathers and the coming descendants, they are all delivered already, he says. That means just because one person in the family does bhakti, it helps even all the forefathers, ancestors previously, and also people who are coming next also, who are not yet born also, or children, grandchildren like that. So that's the greatness of bhakti. And how do you do bhakti? With the 9 process of devotion service that Prahlad Maharaj gives, like chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that is one of the holy name of Supreme Lord that is meant for this age. So we chant the holy name. We hear Krishna Katha. We hear from read scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam every day, little bit, one paragraph. Still we can, that will benefit us like that. So like that we do devotion service that pleases Supreme Lord very much. When he is pleased, because he has everything, so he can give everything to us. So that is the point being made here. Now going to the purport. It's a large purport. In another 4 minutes, 8:30, darshan will be open for the Lord. So you can have darshan also 8:30. Yeah. So now somebody may say, okay, Brahmana has all these 12 qualifications, but if he has no devotion, it's useless, he said. That means all the qualities are described as useless? No. Remember, we already discussed how humility, tolerance, giving respect to others, and not expecting respect already helps in chanting devotion service. Like that, some qualities may be helpful in practicing bhakti. Especially, Brahmana is meant to have qualities in mode of goodness, Sattva-guna. So, Sattva-guna qualities help us to sustain the practice of bhakti. So, it may not be needed to start the bhakti. Bhakti is independent. Nothing is required to start bhakti. Anybody can start from any position. That is given. But if I don't have Sattva-guna qualities or mode of goodness qualities, then I'll do bhakti one day, I'll not do bhakti another day. I'll do bhakti in another once in 1 week, once a week, once a month like that, and then stop it. But if Sattva-guna is there in our life, if good qualities are developed in our life, it helps us to practice bhakti in a sustained fashion, number one. Also, these qualities help us to develop proper understanding of who is the Lord, who am I, what is the purpose of life, and then how can I practice bhakti also. That's how these qualities help us. So we cannot reject the good qualities, but good qualities in themselves are not the all in all. Devotion is the essential part, and qualities are supporting the devotion. So my Robasa Maharaj describes that horse before the cart, example. When you have horse cart, horse needs to be in the front and then it draws the cart. Not that horse is put behind the cart and it pulls it. That doesn't work, right? Similarly, we need to develop devotion for Krishna, and to please Krishna, we develop all the good qualities like that. Not we develop qualities for quality's sake. Just I want to become great, I want to become famous, not like that. To please Krishna, we do everything like that. That is the point being made here. Now, Prabhupada discussing the purport, central principle is to become a first-class pure devotees. So, in ordinary life, we may be doing IT work, we may be doing medical field work, whatever field we may be doing work. In Vedic culture, they are called varnashrama. That means we may be doing different occupation duties to earn money, to live in this world like that. So that living should help us support in doing our devotion service. That means we should have some time for chanting every day, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, hearing every day or reading every day little bit. So that way, it should not be that I'm engrossed completely in doing my occupation work only, taking care of my office work, taking care of family only. Then I don't have any time for bhakti. We should carve our life in such a way, our calendar schedule in such a way that sometime we carve for bhakti every day. Maybe we start with 15 minutes, like 10 minutes of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and 5 minutes of reading Bhagavad Gita. Like that we initially start, and then slowly we can grow. So this doesn't mean we should not take care of family. It doesn't mean that we should not do work. We should do the work nicely. We should take care of family nicely. But we should give some time for Krishna also and Bhakti also. That way, when we're doing Bhakti, then it benefits. Whatever we're doing for family, we can do it in a better way. Whatever we're doing in work, we can do in a better way. There are many examples of so many devotees we see who are very focused in doing anything. They can achieve any goals, even material goals also. So that's why it's very important for them to, for all of us, to practice Bhakti in our life, along with occupation duties, like that. Now going to the next section. Shri Radha Mother ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So that's another principle we can learn from here. So now, Prabhupada is describing the purport, how Prahlad Maharaj is describing about how Brahmana, if he doesn't have a devotion, still is of no use. Brahmana is considered the highest class of society, not in terms of somebody born in Brahmana, but having qualities of Brahmana and doing occupation of Brahmana like that. So somebody is the highest cadre, but even better than that is a devotee, Prabhupada is describing. Because if devotion is the main thing, so somebody may be in Sudra family, Vaishya family, Kshatriya family, doesn't matter. If they're devoted to Krishna, then they are superior because they understood the goal of life, like that. So now, yeah, and Prabhupada describes how one who is a devotee, he transcends the modes of material nature. Like all of us are influenced by mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance. So, but a devotee, it goes beyond the influence of the modes of nature. What does that mean? That means, let us say, if you do not have devotion, I'm constantly feel about, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week, like that. I postpone. That's a quality of mode of ignorance. Scriptures say, and that means laziness, procrastination, too much sleep. These are qualities of ignorance, for example. Or so. Whereas if I become a devotee, I can go beyond this mode. Then I'll be active. I'll be focused and achieving what is needed. Not only for this to fulfill the duties in this life here materially, but also to achieve the ultimate goal, to be happy eternally with Krishna, like that. So that's what Prabhupada is describing in this purport, like that. So now, yeah, and then we talked about how even Chandala can purify the entire family. So this should also motivate us to do devotional service nicely. A devotee, yeah. A devotee can give the best service to his family, community, his society, and his nation is describing. So sometimes we all want to do good for the society. So how do we do good for society? Good can be at multiple levels. One level is helping somebody with the body. For example, somebody is hungry, we give them food. Somebody doesn't have a job, we try to help them to find a job. These are all help can be at different levels per person. So one category is to help them live in this material world, like that, number one. But the higher than that is to help them to understand what is the ultimate purpose of life, to help them understand that in this material world, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are not happy. Instead of just adjusting with the understanding, we need to understand the question, how can we always be happy? That is through devotional service to Krishna. So that we can understand from scriptures. If you give that understanding, you summary and help them. If you chant Hare Krishna every day for a short time, then it helps you to be happy always. That if you share that understanding with others, that is the best help we can do. That doesn't mean that if somebody is hungry, we don't give food. We can still give food. But we help them to understand the higher purpose of life and help them practice bhakti like that. That's the best benefit somebody can do. Why? Because that's not only helping in one life, but it's helping eternally after this life also. You probably heard if somebody is hungry, giving food is one kind of help. Second help is, why are they hungry? They don't have a job to buy food. So finding a job is a bigger help, right? Similarly, taking care of the material needs for somebody is one level help, but taking care of so that they're happy in this life currently. But telling them what is the purpose of life, who we are, how we can be happy always now and later on of this life also. That's a bigger help like that. That's what Prabhupada is describing in the purport. So I want to pause there. Anybody has any comments or questions on the section so far?
Beautiful,
Prabhuji.
like in the beginning of this, when you started, the first verse, you were mentioning, there's like devotees, they should look for the higher devotees. The question is why we should look even for the higher devotees. We should not even look for that. The moment you start doing the computing, mentality, it creates so many other material natures. Is it should we look at for the higher devotee, or should we not even should not worry, just follow our path and believe in our guru and then move forward. It's just a part,
Very nice. Thank you so much, Surendra Prabhu, for the nice question. I don't know if those on the online heard it or not, so I'll repeat it. Surendra Prabhu has a very nice point, because I was telling that we should always don't compare with people. For example, I was giving example. Somebody came yesterday. Don't compare with them before we start a service. To be right in the right service mode, I was talking about. Compare with the higher devotee, so that we can cultivate the higher service mode for the higher devotee, like that I was telling. So Surendra Prabhu was saying, is it not wrong to just be in the competitive mode like that, trying to compete with somebody or trying to look at a higher devotee like that? Instead, why can't I just do my devotion service nicely without looking at comparing with anybody else? Like that he was asking. So that's a nice question that helps me to clarify also the point. Thank you for asking that. So the idea was I was not sharing was to compete with others. So we should have this understanding, a nice understanding you brought out. That is, each one of us has a trajectory of devotional path. That means we grow in a certain way, based on circumstances that we are in. For example, how many lifetimes I have done sinful activity, how many lifetimes I have done the past devotion service already. Based on that, I have such a trajectory now. So that obviously this trajectory is not fixed. It can be changed also. But based on my circumstances, my capacities currently, I can move in certain level direction. I cannot go like this fast. I can go a little bit like this, like that, right? So that understanding is important, like you're saying. That is important to understand. Then we don't feel that, oh, he's going so fast, I'm not going so fast. Why is it like that? That competition should not come. It's okay to understand that I need to go as fast as I can, but not necessarily as fast as that person can. That's the important point you're making. Yeah, that is a good point, too. And then I was only sharing that when we're developing a service mode or a devotional quality, we look to understand what does this quality mean? How does it manifest like that? For that understanding, we look for a higher devotee in that sense. Because then otherwise we can talk all day long. What is humility? But I will not understand. Yeah. Welcome, bro. Yeah, for example, when Radhesham Prabhu came, we see another senior devotee was there next to him. I forgot his name. Uttam Srok Prabhu's brother, another devotee was there. Then he gave him respect. He even gave the option for that Prabhu to speak the whole class. Radhesham Prabhu was prepared for the class and he was supposed to speak the class. But because a very senior devotee came, he told him, you kindly speak. When you see that example, wow, that's what is humility. We understand. Not just saying that I'm lower than you, Prabhu, like that, right? It's practically manifesting like that. In that sense, I was telling you. But very nice point here. Thank you, Prabhu. I know Swapna Mataji had some question on the phone before we go to. I see Shalini Mataji, you are also unmuted. We'll ask
Yes.
Swapna Mataji, then we'll come back to you, Mataji.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Is it Swamini Gopi Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, you gave some. You said there are some examples for the bhakti. Can you give some examples, Prabhuji?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, meaning like Gajendra pastime. That's what you're talking about, or?
No, Prabhuji. While in the middle of the class, you had examples, but yeah, I want to ask
what kind of pure bhakti we can go to Godhead? Because
got it.
I forgot, that time I thought of asking you immediately, but you are in the class. I thought of asking in the end. I forgot what you were talking.
That's okay, Mate. Perfect. Thank you, Mate. Yeah. So basically, what kind of bhakti? The scriptures are redundant with instructions. What kind of bhakti? But our main instruction is from Rupa Goswami. The definition he gives is Anya Vilashita Sunyam. That means no other desires other than serving Krishna. Jnana Karma Dhanavatam. In our performance of bhakti, we're not motivated by I want to get something like that, karma, or jnana, that I want to get liberation also. That kind of jnana karma is anavatam. Anukulyena. That means we do whatever we do favorable to Krishna, that to please Krishna, to attract Krishna's mercy, to satisfy Krishna, like this verse is talking about. Like that, Anukulyena, favorable. Krishna Anushilnam. That means practicing bhakti according to that is bhakti is a cultivation. Cultivation means we do according to what our acharyas gave us. Like Prahlad Maharaj tells us, you do everyday chanting, you do everyday hearing. That's how we can practice bhakti like that. 9 process of devotion service. Anukulina Anushilnam, Bhakti Uttama. That's the characteristic of highest bhakti materi that will help us to go back to Godhead.
I got it, Prabhuji. So how do we satisfy Krishna? That was my question. Because we are doing bhakti, but we don't know in which level we are in. So whenever I do chanting, my mind goes somewhere else. So I'm not in perfect 100% pure chanting. So how do we satisfy Krishna?
Very nice, Madhuri. Nice question. So satisfaction with Krishna is not like satisfaction with Krishna is incremental. That means we can satisfy Krishna at our level little bit currently. Tomorrow with a little bit more bhakti, we can satisfy a little bit more. Day after tomorrow, we can satisfy Krishna a little bit more like that. So we can give more and more satisfaction to Krishna as the days go. Currently, when I'm chanting also, my mind goes here and there. So for example, few years ago, when I'm chanting, I don't even remember if I heard any particular mantra also. Because I chant all my rounds just to finish my rounds. I'm looking at my clock, wall clock, and I'm chanting my rounds. I just want to finish because it's important for me to do. That was my consciousness previously. Now at least what I do, okay, I need to hear mantra, and I need to try to control my mind from going here and there like that. So that means now that I'm being more conscious to please Krishna by not letting my mind go, even though I'm not able to control it, mind is still going. But still I'm conscious that mind doesn't go anywhere. That satisfies Krishna a little bit more. Now, then when I understand, oh, my mind is going here and there, I'm chanting by looking at the road in the morning. That is why my mind is going here and there. So let me chant in my room now. So when I make that change tomorrow, then I chant like that, my mind goes a little bit less outside. Then I can satisfy Krishna a little bit more. Now, then I understand, the day after tomorrow I'll understand, oh, if I take fresh bath and sit for chanting, I pray to my Guru Maharaj and start chanting, it's helping me to be, my mind not to go away too much more. So let me chant like that. Then that will please Krishna a little bit more, satisfy Krishna a little bit more. Then I'll understand, oh, but I'm getting sleep while chanting. So then the following day, I'll sleep early tonight, because next day morning I'm not drowsy because of that. I'll get sufficient sleep. So then I chant a little bit more nicely, with my mind not going, with not sleeping. Then Krishna is satisfied a little bit more like that. Then we understand, oh, I heard that offenses are not good for chanting. So what are the offenses? Let me find out what are the offenses. I learn about offenses. Then that is pleasing to Krishna. That satisfies a little bit more Krishna. I'm not doing anything in chanting yet. But just by the act of trying to know and understanding, Krishna is satisfied a little bit more. Because I'm doing some endeavor to go towards him, like that. Then I know, oh, I understand this principle, but how do I apply it in my life? They're saying you should not blaspheme devotees. What does that mean? When I say tell my son who's chanting Hare Krishna, when I tell him don't make your home dirty, is that offense or not? How can I find out? If I try to clarify more and practice it like that, apply that principle properly, then that satisfies Krishna even more. Like that, devotional service is a wonderful process to learn to satisfy Krishna. Whenever let us say, but when we're hearing Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who give this knowledge to others, they are more dear to me. Those who share the wealth that they have for my service, they are dear to me. Those who worship with their words, those who glorify my activities, they are dear to me. So he's saying, those dear to me, those satisfy me, those are pleasing to me. So like that, we need to catch whenever we hear such words from Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna directly, or from Srimad Bhagavatam directly, or from Guru Maharaj directly, from Prabhupada directly. We need to pay attention to that. We catch that. And another way is, whenever we chant the holy name, it's pleasing to Krishna. Whenever we do any activities that are instructed by our Guru Maharaj, is pleasing to Krishna. Then, in a sense, whole bhakti, even though I told so many things, in essence, whole bhakti can be summarized as how to satisfy Krishna is by following the Guru's instruction and serving according to Guru's instruction. That is pleasing to Krishna. That is satisfy Krishna. And Guru gives lots of instructions. So we can start with wherever we are and grow every day, day by day, like I described. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Most welcome. Go to Shalini Mataji, and after that, come to the room. Anybody else also has anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a great lecture. So, Prabhuji, you were mentioning the example of the Brahman and the person who eats dog, right? And you've said that the person who eats dog performs little bit of devotion, so he's more near to God, Lord Krishna. So my question was, the Brahman who was performing all these activities like having a good knowledge of native scriptures, knowing the Vedas, and performing rituals and doing pious activity. So do we not always say, Prabhu, that even if you do little bit for Krishna, one step you take and he takes 10 steps towards you. At least, even though he's in the mode of passion or in the mode of ignorance, that Brahman, but still he is doing that. The rituals is also for Krishna only, right? The Vedic literature it is also relating to Krishna only. So everything, even though his mind is not completely into it, but whatever he is doing, it is for the Lord only, right? So why his activities can be totally discarded? That's what my question is, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mati, for a nice question. Actually, because you're a devotee, you're thinking like that. Basically, meaning the Brahmana described here is doing everything for pleasing Krishna. That's how you're thinking, because you're already in the mode
Yes.
that everything you do is for Krishna. But here is the Brahmana described here can be Smarta Brahmana. There are Smarta Brahmanas who do just to do regulations. This, I just do it because I need to do. My grandfather used to do, my father used to do, I need to do like that also. And then some of them also do it for demigod, like that, same activities. We also study scriptures, they're also studying scriptures. But we are studying please Krishna and develop qualities for pleasing Krishna, but they're studying for their own self like that. And they're like that, Mataji. So basically all these qualities, all these activities described, the context here is, if they're not doing it for Krishna, but if they're, like you said, if they're doing one step for Krishna, still is considered devotion only. Still, they're greater than the others, anybody else like that, who is not doing devotion service. Correct, Mataji. That one point I want to mention. Second point is, bhakti is independent of anything else. That means these other processes like giving charity, speaking truthfully, they're all wonderful pious qualities. But bhakti cannot come just by that. Bhakti comes through bhakti only. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kandamani describes that. So from a devotee's heart, bhakti goes to another devotee's heart like that. So that's why these other, like I was describing, remember, like these other things, other pious activities are not required to start bhakti. Bhakti, starting of bhakti is by bhakti itself like that. But to sustain bhakti, these other good qualities might be helpful like that. So they are not ultimately, they're not pleasing to Krishna. They're not satisfying Krishna like that. But they're still helpful because they're still in the Vedic culture. They're still following Vedic studies, right? Vedic scriptures, right? So helpful, instead of being atheistic, they're still helpful because they're getting some pious karma. Through that, they'll get a better life next time like that. In that sense, it's helpful. but not to advance in bhakti, not to please Krishna like that, Mataji. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Nice, Mataji. Thank you. Any other comments or questions in the room? Good, sure. Anything you have, Krishna Chaitanya? Anything you like from the session today? Anything you did not like from the session today? Anything did not make sense to you?
I like how you described how the qualities, all the qualities that you can have, that all the Brahmanical qualities, also the types of Brahmanical qualities, all that, if it does not lead us to devotion of service, then it's not of many value.
Very nice. Yeah.
Of the dog, either and
Very nice, Krishna Chaitanya. Thank you.
I really liked the points you mentioned, that qualification, what brings us to the real realm of qualification, what is necessary, not what doesn't disqualify us. Very nice.
Yeah.
Often I get confused on that. Also, very nice explain about the society, how the welfare aspect that you talked about. What is the real welfare? It is, devotees think about not just one life. We think about eternal well-being.
Yeah.
So that is the best welfare of philanthropy. Yeah, you touched upon that. And the another thing I like is the bhakti has the sustenance of bhakti depends on that. It doesn't depend on the sustenance of moral goodness. But actually bhakti is independent. So the bhakti, you also mentioned about srimadbhagavatam.
So we push
you mentioned the key there very nicely, that bhakti is unobstructed, causeless. You mentioned those aspects. I really like that point. Today I was recalling some points from class that bhakti is also, even Krishna, absolute truth is actually non-dual. And people, the monis will come and say non-dual. Oh, that means we are Advaita. That's what they say. But we are Dvaitas. We see clear difference between Bhagwan and Jivas. But they believe in Advaita. They pick up this verse and then they talk about it. When you're talking about this, I remember that from the class. And there was one person who was asking a question in the class: how do we understand this Advaita? Because the verse itself is talking about three gradations of understanding absolute truth. And how do we understand that they are mentioning it as Advaita? Then Prabhuji has actually very nice explanation. Non-dual, he's saying that it means actually it doesn't mean that non-dual in the sense that Krishna is Matta Parakaram like that he says, right? That means he is the supreme to all. There is no equal or greater than, so he is not dual. Like that he was explained. Maybe you can explain on that Advaita concept, how to handle such such confusions.
Okay.
Little detail on that.
Sure.
When you were discussing about these points, I came across that point.
Got it.
Really.
Sure. I don't remember what Gauranga was specifically told in the class. I don't remember that. But generally, whenever this topic comes, Prabhupada brings up the Achintya Veda Veda Tattva philosophy that Lord Chaitanya told us. Basically, some Vaishnava schools emphasize, not that they don't believe Jiva is separate, Supreme separate. They believe. Vaishnava schools I'm talking about now, not the Mayavadis. Mayavadis believe we are all one, right? But Vaishnava schools, some of them emphasize that we and Krishna are qualitatively one. They emphasize in that aspect. Some emphasize the aspect that we are different from Krishna. Krishna is Supreme Lord, we are different. We are a small part and parcel of Krishna, like that. That they emphasize. But Lord Chaitanya says we are simultaneously part and parcel of Krishna, because we qualitatively one with same nature of Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, same nature we have like Krishna, but then quantity wise we are different. Krishna has unlimited quantity, we are very minute. Like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada emphasizes that Achinta Bheda Vedata. Simultaneously, one and different like that. That's the point he brings. Or Krishna, another way to express is Krishna and energy is, in one sense, their energy same, because Krishna's energy is, in one sense, you can say is Krishna like that. But in a sense, Krishna is separately there apart from energies. That's why is different also. Simultaneously, is one also different also like that. Like a sunshine example you might have heard, right? Sun and sunshine. So sometimes if you see sun, oh, sun is coming inside the home, we'll say. But sun is not really coming inside the home, sunshine is coming inside the home. But in that sense, sunshine is sun in this example. But sun is there separately also. When you look outside the window, you will see sun is there. So like that, simultaneously is one and simultaneously different also like that. That's the example Prabhupada gives to explain that. Prabhupada.
Can I add a couple of
Please go ahead.
Then about even dog eater can satisfy the Supreme Lord when his intent is pure, right? You know, when he falls under those two clouds.
Then that is to satisfy Krishna fully, satisfy ourselves fully. But any amount of devotion he's doing is satisfying Krishna. Like I described, right? Satisfaction of Krishna can be multiple levels. Yeah.
Because unless it is Krishna, it is not Bhakti. Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
By definition, itself should be to Vishnu.
Correct.
Otherwise, it is not called Bhakti.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then the second point is, unless it is having ahaitika apratihata, at least to some degree, how can it be a dog eater be considered glorious?
Correct. It should be there. That intention should be there. It doesn't need to be, for example, I come to, of course, Bhakti also different levels, right? Actually, third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapildev explains Bhakti can be performed in mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. Normally we hear Bhakti is transcendental, but you can perform in these three modes. Then if you do 3 times 3 times 3 like that, it can be 8 different varieties you can perform like that, like modes of nature thing. That also can be done. But at any point of time, somebody can perform Bhakti. So the point here mentioned is, the dog eater performing Bhakti is glorious compared to Bhakti. The point being mentioned is, devotion element is important. That is the point being mentioned. Of course, as you become devotee, you will become merciful. Then you will not eat dog anymore. Right? That is the emphasis is that Bhakti element is missing here for Brahmana. Bhakti element is included in dog eater, like that is saying. Makes sense? For example, we eat a lot of non-veg before. I eat a lot of non-veg before. But then Krishna is still merciful. Even though I caused so much sinful activity in the past, Krishna will still accept me. Like that.
But also indicate that saying that it might indicate his past condition, dog eater here. Doesn't mean that necessarily his dog eater continue to be dog eater.
It can be 2 ways. One is past condition. One is even if hypothetically, if that happens, if he's intending to please Krishna, hypothetically, if he does devote service, still that is pleasing to Krishna. But if I'm Brahmana, I don't have any intention to think about Krishna. I just want to do my things. Then that's not pleasing to Krishna. Makes sense? Both ways you can take it.
And also I like the satisfaction aspect you mentioned.
Mm.
If you collect from points from today's class also, satisfaction of this.
Yeah.
Quoting a lot of verses in the sequence. I really like that. And not just it stops there, but he continued. First couple of questions that Nanisharanya
Pages.
what will help any jiva to what is the best for their welfare? Second question we asked is
Essence of all scriptures.
essence of all scriptures. Then Super Goswami actually explains this honest because some Siddhir had pushed.
Yes. Yeah.
So to be satisfying the Supreme Lord by doing Varnasana, following the Varnasana. And he goes ahead beyond the beyond your ashram. I had to get I remember those points on that.
Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. Yeah, I was going down to little bit lower level when new people came. That's why I was talking about Hare Krishna Mahamantra and all that also for them, for their benefits. So that's what it is. Thank you. No, I know you're already practicing. We can end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.